Higher interest rates, almost no inventory. What is going on with our real estate market right now? Stay till the end of the video. I'm going to share with you the tool that all of our home buyers are using right now to get the best deal on homes right here in this current market. Stay to the end. I'll share with you exactly that strategy. My name is Mike Novak, team leader and agent over at the Novak Real Estate Team, part of Real Brokerage. And today I'm going to bring you all of the market insights that I do each and every month. I've been doing this now for 6 years, every single month. No months have been missed. And I always like to just pull back the curtain and show you the data, the facts, and also my analysis and interpretation of what this means for you as a potential home buyer, as a seller, or just someone who's watching what's happening in the market. Everyone is curious about what's happening right now. Even agents are struggling to understand exactly what's happening. So let's jump into the data. And as we go, I will share with you how to interpret it and what it means for you. The first stat, and this is always the first every single month, is what is the average sales price? Right now it's $800,000 and change, okay? This is a decrease of 1% year over year. So that kind of gap between like 8 to 10% decreases we were seeing earlier on is now shrinking down. Last month it was 1.8%. This month it's 1%. So we're about to go back to the other side. I think we've probably hit that value. We're going to start going back up the other direction. If you look, I'm going to put up a chart just kind of showing you the 5-year trend of prices for residential real estate right here in Snohomish County, super local. And if you go back to 2018, you can see the average home price was about $457,000. And it appreciated relatively smoothly and consistently until March of 2020 or April. And what happened in March or April of 2020? Well, COVID hit, right? And that's when you see this massive climbing of price. Homes going from the mid fives all the way up to the mid eights in a relatively short period of time. We're talking like 2.5, 3 years at the most that this happened. So I want you to just look at that. And in a minute, I'm going to show you what inventory did over that same period of time. But it's important to note where all the appreciation occurred, or at least the bulk of it. And it started really March, April of 2020, and it really went until like October of last year, maybe January of this year. You could make an argument for that as well. When you look at the seasonal appreciation, what we've seen is that oftentimes in our market, most of the year's appreciation is actually booked in January, February, March. People often talk about a spring selling market. Well, that's not the case anymore. If you look at the data, you're seeing the top prices of the year typically occurring actually in the first 3 months. So really interesting data to look at. And you'll see, that home prices back in January, like up in the 850s, and they're now down in the low 800s. It's just seasonal appreciation, guys. Like, it doesn't mean home prices have dropped $50,000. You want to always look at year over year, not month to month, and you're comparing price valuations and where homes are appreciated in the current market. Okay. So when we look year over year, it's down 1%. If you go back to January, it's down like $50,000, but wait till next January. I guarantee you it's probably going to show a price increase. So you need to realize the concept of seasonal appreciation and that the market often will have most of its appreciation for the entire year in just a few months. And it's typically happening in the beginning of the year. This is very, very important to note. The next slide I'm going to put up on the screen that I want to explain to you is the inventory level, again, also over the last 5 years. And what I want you to see is, again, look at March and April of 2020. We had like 1.7, 1.8 months inventory, and then just slowly starts dropping, and then boom, it hits super low in 2021. That's when we saw all of those massive bidding wars, massive price appreciation happening, tons of escalations, and inventory is basically zero, okay? And so you can see the correlation between price appreciation and low inventory. I'm going to come back to that here in just a minute on where the market is likely going to go, because history repeats itself, and I think we're in for a little bit of a repeat, not to the level we've experienced, but I think that we're in for a rebound over the next 24 to 36 months. So if you look at today's inventory level, we've got about 1.2 months of inventory. It's down actually 25% from the same time last year. So it doesn't feel like there's a lot of homes for sale. And the reason why is because most sellers are waiting until rates drop to list their home. It's really hard for people to go from a 2.5% to 3% interest rate to a 7.25% interest rate. You need to have some kind of major life events like death or relocation. Something massive has to happen to sell your home right now, or you just have to have like a massive drive to do it. One of those things really has to be there. Otherwise, sellers are just kind of waiting to see what happens. Are you going to see 2.5 or 3% interest rates again? Probably not. But when those rates go back into the high fives, you'll see sellers start to be willing to list again, because that gap is going to be shrunk significantly between where they're at now and what the current rates are at. So inventory is super low. 1.2 months is not a lot, folks. Like I said, it's down massively from the same time last year. So we saw when COVID hit and inventory went really low, we saw prices started to go up, and they went up really, really quick. Well, that's likely what's going to happen next year when rates drop. You are looking at the biggest pent-up buyer demand in a very long time. Okay, back when COVID hit, the buyer demand was really fueled by interest rates. Right now, it's the same thing. The lack of buyer demand is also fueled by interest rates. But people are still going to make a move. They've just hit the pause button until rates get down to a point where they can actually afford to buy a house again. There's two big components that go into the price you pay for the home. There's the price of the house, and then there's the interest rate you get. Both of those have gone up massively over the last 3 years. Just a simple reality, and it's just the truth. But when those rates go down, watch the floodgates open. And when the floodgates open, prices, just like they did during COVID, are going to go up and go up quickly. Back to the data, new listings down about 16% year over year. New listings year to date down 37%. So like I said, a lot of sellers are just waiting until interest rates drop lower before they put their home on the market. There's a very low influx of new listings coming on, which is the main contributor to a very low inventory market. Homes for sale, obviously that mirrors a lot of the new listings. Homes for sale are down about 46%. There's just not that many houses sitting there. Homes that are priced well and are in good condition typically are selling relatively quickly. So how long does it take to sell a home right now? Well, the days on market average is about 20 days. Okay, this is a decrease from the same time last year, meaning homes are selling faster again than they were just 12 months ago. 20 days, historically speaking, is lightning fast, folks. Oftentimes, in a normal market, a home would sit for 60 to 120 days before you get an offer on it that is worth actually considering. We've just been so skewed over the last 5 years where we think homes sell in 3 or 4 days. That's not historically normal. That's just become the new norm because of our record low inventory. Okay, so what about the list price to sale price ratio? Well, it's just over 100%. It's about 100.7% right now, meaning homes are selling for just a little bit more than what they're listed at. We're still seeing some offer review dates, but oftentimes we are not. An offer review date is where a seller lists a home, they wait till a certain date to possibly accept an offer on that house. Very common in 2020, 21, less common now. And you can see, homes, again, they're just selling for like less than 1% over list price on average. Some are selling for less than list price. It just totally depends on how aggressively the home was priced. Sometimes people are pushing that upper end of the market. And when they push the upper end of the market, typically their list price to sale price ratio is going to suffer massively. But if they price their home at fair market value, which means you've priced it based off the comparables that are recent, then typically it's going to sell very close to list price or slightly above if you look at the averages. Okay, so how many showings does it take on your listing to actually get a sale right now? It's at about 16 showings. So if you've only had 4 or 5 showings in your homes on the market, well, you haven't had enough showings to really get an offer yet. Okay, so you need to keep going, whether if it's changing your price to get more people out, to make it more attractive online. Maybe your marketing isn't good. I always like to say that the first showing of the home actually happens online. So how your home shows up on the internet is super, super important. No iPhone photos. You need to have really dynamic, captivating marketing that makes people want to come out and tour your home. But just remember, how your home shows online is going to have a direct impact into how many showings you're getting. But it's going to take you about 16 showings right now before you actually get an offer accepted. What should we expect over the next, let's say, 6 to 18 months, relatively soon? Okay, so we've proven to be very bad at guessing where interest rates are going to go. Everyone thought interest rates were going to be in the 5s by the summer of this year, and that just simply hasn't happened. Rates, I was checking them this morning, we're sitting at 7.25. So they've stayed very stubbornly high. I've covered this in a lot of my previous market report videos. But remember, 2024 is an election year, and if you go back and look at history, you will see rates go down on election years. So when does it happen? I don't know. I'm just guessing, to be honest with you. I would venture to guess that after the level of inflation has tempered to 3 or 4% for a period of 4 to 6 months, that's when you will see the Fed start to lower the cost of money. Right now, we've only had 2 months that were in the 3s. And so we need more of those months of low inflation for the Fed to feel comfortable actually starting to lower the cost of borrowing that they're charging in the bank. So what this means for you, like if you're thinking about buying a home, if you have any thought of buying a home in the next 2 years, this is your time. And here's why this is your time. I explained to you and I showed you the correlation between price appreciation and low inventory. We still have a very, very low inventory market. And it doesn't take a rocket scientist to figure out that when rates drop, you're going to have massive pent-up buyer demand. There's just so many buyers that have not been able to afford in the current market to buy a house. And they're all going to re-enter the market as soon as the rates hit the high fives. So if you can buy a home today, you are going to get the best price you're going to see for years on the home. I assure you, okay? Mark my word that the price you pay now is going to be the best price you pay over the next 4 to 5 years on the property. When the rates drop next year, you're going to see price appreciation kick up big time. You're going to see multiple offers going on again. You're going to see escalations, bidding wars, all of that stuff, waves, inspections. This is your chance to lock in today's price before that starts to happen. So how can you do that with rates being where they're at? Well, I promised you at the beginning of the video, I'd share with you a strategy that most of our buyers are using. Here's that strategy. I've talked about this before. It's the 2-1 buy down. The 2-1 buy down allows you to have a 2% lower rate than what rates are at today. So I said they're at 7.25. Well, that means you'd be at 5.25 for your first year. And then it'd be 6.25 the second year after that. If you have not refinanced by that point, it would then be at that 7.25 today's rate for the rest of the 30-year mortgage. So that gives you a bridge to buy at today's prices and wait until rates drop and refinance. You can refinance the rate. You cannot refinance the price. That is very, very important to remember. So if you think within the next 2 years you're going to want to make a move, think heavily and have a conversation with your agent or reach out to me about how this may be the opportunity that you've been waiting for. You're not going to have to get into a bidding war right now. More often than not, you got to be able to get a fair price on the property. You got to be able to inspect it, and you're going to get in before everybody else does. Okay, that's where the market's going. I will, of course, be back next month and share with you my insights again. If you've got questions about selling your home for the most amount of money, if you need help on the buy side, reach out to me, of course. I am there as a resource, or you can send me a direct message. I'll put my cell phone number up on the screen. You can send me a text or give me a direct phone call. I answer my phone myself, and I am there as a resource for you for all of your real estate questions. It's Mike Novak. Have a great day.